Excuse me. I believe we are live. Trying to see if we're live. One second. Mr. Carlson, I believe we are live. Well, I'm ready to go.
All right.
Well, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm well. I can't complain. It's 2021, and thank God we got a new president, and it's Black History Month.
Sure.
No, but let's officially kick it off. My name is Michael Higgs. This is the second episode of the Black Male Experience, of course, on the Cincinnati Herald's platform, Influencers. Today's guest is Bill Costin. This man has lived such a wonderful, passion-filled life. He was a former NFL player. He is a master pilot. He holds a commercial, I believe, pilot's license in hot air ballooning. And actually, he's right here. I'm gonna let him take over from here on out.
Thank you for having me. I'm Bill Costin, originally from Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha, Nebraska literally has no Black history. So I literally grew up going to mostly white schools and everything. And I got down to Atlanta, Georgia, where I went to Morris Brown College. Very first week I was down there, my uncle said, "You want to go to lunch?" I said, "Yeah." So he took me to lunch with Martin Luther King. So my experience with luncheon with Martin Luther King and my uncle led me to just appreciate Blackness that I never had in my life. During my stay at Morris Brown College, I played football, I played track and field, threw the shot put, discus, javelin. First 2 years I was there, I stayed with my uncle and aunt because I hadn't earned a football scholarship yet. I was ineligible my freshman year at Morris Brown because I had transferred from University of Nebraska. And I didn't play football at University of Nebraska. I played 2 years in high school, but I just sat on the bench. So I finally earned a scholarship my junior year at Morris Brown, and scouts started looking at me. Dallas Cowboys were coming to the camp just about every week. And they were checking me out. They said that they're planning on drafting me, in the draft. But when the draft came around, I was drafted by the Buffalo Bills. So I was totally shocked because they had never contacted me. So I went up to Buffalo. This was O.J. Simpson's second year when I was a rookie there.
So what year is this then?
This was 1970.
1970. So this is like early football, gridiron football, where it's really like the real tough days.
Right.
And then, so we are already in your football career, but if I can slow you down, it's like Omaha, Nebraska. There was no Black history. Like, can you tell me what that experience was like growing up there? Did that give you a sense of like, I have to leave this place to become something else, or just like, give me a sense of living in Omaha, Nebraska?
Actually, I didn't know better. My whole early life, my mother died when I was 9. So my father was raising me and my other 3 siblings. And my world back then consisted of school, church, and my grandmother's house. And that was a radius of about a mile. So I never was exposed to really anything else. I was in the Boy Scouts. I earned Eagle Scout. I used to go hunting with my father. We used to go pheasant hunting all the time. He bought me a shotgun when I was 9 years old. So I was constantly going hunting every year. I was, in the Eagle Scout program. So I was exposed to a lot, camping, hunting, fishing, shooting rifles, shooting guns, literally everything. Hardest thing I ever did in my life was to earn my life-saving merit badge. I had to jump in the water and save the instructor who was trying to drown me. So
That's crazy.
that was the hardest thing ever. And a lot of guys never made Eagle because they couldn't do that. So like I said, during that time, I had a very limited childhood. I didn't know much. I didn't have any role models or anything because you didn't have, TV and sports like you have now. Back
Yeah.
then, you only had 3 channels, and we were in the middle of Omaha, Nebraska, which is in the middle of the country. So I basically didn't know that much. I never knew anything about Martin Luther King until I actually met him that day. During high school, also, I at the end of my high school, right before I was going to transfer to University of Nebraska, I wanted to go to the University of Nebraska to become an architect. But when I got there, I found out that the architectural classes weren't actually offered until your sophomore year. So I really hated it there because there was only, I guess there probably only 10 Black people on the whole campus. And that was in 1965. So hate to say it, but I flunked out because I learned how to play poker, and
Right.
poker was more fun than linguistics. So when I flunked out, I was planning on um, staying on the railroad. I was working as a porter on the Union Pacific Railroad where I was going out west. But like I said, that whole time it was a white world. So I was considering, staying on the railroad, but my uncle didn't want me to flunk out of college and not continue. So he said, if I can get you into a college down here, will you promise me you'll do better? I said, yes. So that's how I ended up leaving Nebraska and going to Atlanta, Georgia.
I'm pretty sure it was like a whole different scenery in Atlanta too. So give you
Totally,
new energy,
totally,
right?
totally, totally. Just I was able to meet all the different students from all over the South, and that experience was just unbelievable. Atlanta in the '60s, late '60s,
Mm.
unbelievable.
I bet it was fun. I mean, did you really like come into yourself when you were in Atlanta and Morris Brown?
Yeah, I did. Um, I was one of the few athletes who had a car, so I was able to get around.
Oh, really?
And plus, I met a couple of people who liked to party, so I was given a lot of parties at Atlanta. But I ended up making the honor roll, all 4 years that I was there. So that was to please my uncle. And during that time, my uncle and aunt were good friends of Martin Luther King, and a lot of the civil rights leaders, in Atlanta, because my uncle was a dean of a college, which he became president of ITC, which was on Atlanta University. So he basically knew all the civil rights leaders, and I met them through him. So I started collecting Black history way back then. And I said, if I can show other people through a Black history collection what I never knew, I could literally entice and help thousands of people.
Exactly. Is that something that you aim to do, or something that you hope to do later, that now that you are, I guess, like, you're still doing ballooning, is that correct?
No, I had a stroke 2 years ago, so that
Oh
ended my
man,
ballooning. But all the time I was ballooning, I ballooned for 42 years. And
exactly. That's a long time.
the Master Pilot Award is 40 years without having an accident or anything. So I'm really proud of that achievement, because anything can happen with the wind and the balloon. So I'm just grateful that that happened. But all during that time I was ballooning, I was collecting Black history. So right now I have a traveling museum that I take around to different schools, companies, and I've been doing that for about 30 years. And I'm just literally met so many people, who literally didn't know anything about their Black history also. So
I mean, listening to your story, it's like you became Black history, but you kind of gravitated to people who are like you in Atlanta. So like, did you always have it, like, that spirit inside of you to, like, I don't know, to like just really be prolific and just do your own thing? Because it really sounded like you really followed your passion and you really took your risks, your own risks.
I remember I was fishing once in Omaha, and this older Black guy, he said, always record your history. So
Mm.
I started taking pictures when I was probably about 11 years old. So I was always taking pictures. And in Atlanta, I ended up taking pictures of everything that I did and accomplished. And my father used to take home movies with his home movie camera. And I asked to borrow his camera once. And that particular year, Martin Luther King passed. He got assassinated. And I actually went up on the bridge that goes across the campus of Morris Brown and stood right next to NBC videographers. And I filmed the whole Martin Luther King funeral procession. And as the funeral procession was coming underneath the bridge, I saw Harry Belafonte right behind the casket. And I had just seen a Harry Belafonte movie. So I took the camera and ran down the hill, and I jumped in the procession right behind Harry Belafonte. And I walked behind Harry Belafonte all the way over to Morehouse College, where they had the funeral. And I was filming everything as I was walking. And one guy saw the movie, and I had turned the movie camera on myself. He said, the first selfie. So that was interesting. And then, like I said, one thing led to another. And all those years, I collected Black history. And ever since Facebook came out, I started featuring a Black biography every single day. So I've actually put a Black biography on Facebook every single day for the last 10 years. And
Wow.
I've had about 5 or 6 women actually say that they had their kids come to my site before they went to school, and they were learning, a new Black history figure. So I'm just thankful for that.
How did you collect these things? It's like, of course, over your life, but like through a course of travel, through a course of just people giving you things. Like, how did you acquire such
Both,
knowledge?
both. Mostly, I started out, I was actually, I was in Hartford at the time, and guys asked me, I heard two guys talking about a baseball card collection. So I checked them out, and they said they were going to a baseball card show the next day. So I went with them, and I was just blown away when I went into the show, because there was about 90 dealers in the show. All of them had sports collectibles. I said, wow, look at this. But while I was there, I didn't see any Black people there. So I went to another show, and I said, this is pretty cool. And they were saying how much money that they can make buying and selling cards. So I started, first card I ever collected was a Julius Erving rookie card. And
Wow.
over the years, I built up a huge sports collection, you know, autograph items, autograph boxing gloves. I used to go to the Hall of Fame up in Canastota, New York. I met all the old boxers like Muhammad Ali and Frazier and Marvelous Marvin Hagler and you know, all the guys. I got them all to autograph it. So one thing led to another, and I started going to different postcard shows. And at the postcard shows, I started seeing dealers who were selling Black postcards. And then again, I never saw any Black dealers selling any of this. Everything I attained was from whites. So I saw the importance that they put on Black history. So that just put me in line to keep it going. So I combined that with, I became a photojournalist for a Black newspaper while I was in Hartford. And
So,
from that, I
me
used
too.
to go, I used to go to the Springfield, Massachusetts Basketball Hall of Fame. So every year I covered the Hall of Fame from the time Larry Bird and Magic Johnson actually got inducted. So I built up a collection of basketball. And then the same thing, Sammy Davis Jr. used to host a golf tournament in Hartford. It was called the Sammy Davis Jr. Greater Hartford Open. So I used to go to the golf tournament and cover the golfers all the way up, you know, from back then all the way up. So I have had 20 years of that and 20 years of um, Basketball Hall of Fame added to all the Black history I have. Now I have one of the largest traveling museums in the country.
That is crazy. I mean, that's amazing as well. So it's like you're a collector, a photojournalist, former NFL player, master pilot. Like, what gives you the most, I don't know, payback and payoff over the years?
As I started out ballooning as a balloon racing circuit. I used to race balloons when I first started, and I was racing up against the top
Crazy.
balloonists in the world, and I had to learn quick because they had skills that I hadn't developed yet. So I learned how to fly balloons real fast. When you take off from downtown Philadelphia and you look down and see nothing but buildings and you up there by yourself, you know, you
That's dangerous, man. That's dangerous. That's bold too, because it's like, man, you got to keep your wits.
me and the Lord were best friends.
I bet. Nah, that's scary. But you go like, do you feel like is that something you take with you all the time, or is like it's just something you just get comfortable with, just flying and just being in the air and just being aware?
Once you develop your skills, what to do, you're comfortable, but the weather changes all the time. You see what a hurricane can do. Well, a little hurricane can hit your balloon and make you do things, you know, you wish you had stayed in bed that day.
Right.
But, but as long as the winds are calm and everything, it's really nice. And I really enjoyed taking people up for their first ride because they were experiencing something they had never seen before. Some of them, it was their lifelong dream to go up in a balloon. I had never heard of a balloon when I got introduced to it, and 6 of us got together and formed a club, and one thing led to another, and I started, you know, racing the balloons and everything, and I started getting corporations to advertise on the balloon, so you know it became a full-time job because I was having a lot of people wanting to go up, and I was for few years, I was going up just about every flyover day. So, but the thrill of seeing a person enjoying the nature and seeing things that they never saw before. I know every time I used to fly over a body of water, I used to bring the balloon down to about 1 foot over the top of the water and tell everybody to look over the side of the basket. and they would look over and they would see the reflection of themselves in the water, and they would take pictures of themselves in the water, and then I'd shoot up over the clouds. So the experience of all that, and the wildlife that you would see, and it was just freedom up there, flying, just
Mm.
floating like the wind. And it, it, the experiences, every flight, I never knew where I was going to land. So every single flight was totally different. But the experiences that you shared at the end of those, and it was a photographer's dream. I mean, taking pictures
Mm.
all up over the mountains and over the rivers and everything. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it sounds like it was completely amazing. And what I'm really impressed by is like how you built a family around it. Like you incorporated your daughters and your son into ballooning. So like they have that experience to go off on, and like that is like that's life changing. Can you talk about how like you expanded your passion to incorporate your lifestyle into your family?
Okay, I guess I've been flying about 10 years before my first son was born. And I was actually the first commercial hot air balloon pilot. So I said, well, let me set records with my children. So I took my son up when he was 9 days old. So
Wow.
that made him the first Black child to go up in a balloon. And I took Chantel, the producer of this movie, Balloon Man, I took her up when she was 8 months old.
Mm.
So literally, when they were young, sometimes we couldn't get babysitters, so we had to take them out to the field with us. So they literally learned ballooning their whole life, their whole childhood,
That's
and
crazy.
uh, early adulthood was ballooning, and they were able to invite all their friends out there, so they were little heroes. Oh, can we go up with your dad? And they would arrange
Mm.
flights with all their kids. But one of the funniest incidents, I was doing advertising for a grand opening of a mall, and Chantel was 1 year old, Jarrell was about 3 years old, and we had to go up through the roof up to put all the equipment up on the roof. So my wife had to go up first. Chantel was in her car seat, so we had to push her car seat up the roof, and then got Jarrell up there, and then got all the balloon equipment up there. As soon as we got up there, there were 10 men sitting there with a coffee break, but had on hard hats, looking at us, wondering what are they about to do. And they saw us dragging the balloon across the roof with a car seat and another little kid putting a balloon up on the roof, and it was snowing. So that was totally, totally.
That's crazy. It's like that's a sight to see a family. Like, is that family about to do what I think it's about to do?
That's exactly right. And a Black family at that.
I know, right?
Uh,
They thought you was crazy for real.
Oh,
Oh man,
I've been
nah,
called,
that sounds
I've been
amazing.
called, I've been called crazy all my life, but anybody, most people I took up in a balloon,
Mhm.
half of them were scared. You know, a husband and wife get a Christmas gift. The husband didn't want to go. The wife wanted to go. The husband would be scared. But as soon as you get up in the balloon by 5 minutes and you see how beautiful it is, you lose your fear because you're saying,
Really?
oh, wow, look at that. And all the things you're looking at, you totally forget your fear. And that's what happens to just about everybody. Everybody loved it once they landed. So
That's
then,
amazing.
then we used to go to balloon festivals all over the country, and I take the kids with me, and other balloon pilots would have their families there. So, they literally grew up with other families. So it was just a fun sport to be involved in. And it's the most photographed event in the world, the Albuquerque Balloon Festival out in New Mexico. That's the most photographed event in the world.
That's
And
crazy.
it's just it's just unbelievable, the people you meet and the experiences that you have.
I can imagine you went in head first into racing, and then you just saw, I was like, oh, if I take my time, this is a wonderful thing too. But
Mhm.
like you're like, I still want to talk about your journey, because it's like you had to make it work, and like that's a model that I live by. It's like make it work. Can you talk about like, did you depend on a 9 to 5? Like, did you like speak about the time management? You probably put more time in your passion than you did in the 9 to 5, but you had to make money. So can you talk about that grind and how long it was for you?
Well, when I got cut from Buffalo, I went to their farm team in Hartford, Connecticut, and all the farm team games, the Hartford Knights, we played games on the weekends and practice at night. So everybody had daytime jobs. So for 12 years, I was an underwriter at insurance companies. I started out at the Travelers Insurance Company, and then ballooning came by maybe 5 years later. And so I was flying balloons on the weekend and working as an underwriter during the week. And um, right before my son was born, um, both me and my wife left our jobs because of a little racism at the jobs. So the very the very next week after I left my job after her, we found out that she was pregnant with our first son. So that's when ballooning became full time, and that's when all my time and passion went into taking people up for rides and doing commercial events and different balloon festivals. So that whole that whole journey, like I say, lasted 40 years. And during that time, I met and competed with, like I said, the top pilots in the world. Um, and I've had some of the greatest experiences that I've ever had.
Yeah, I can imagine. That sounds like that sounds greater than the NFL. Everybody hypes the NFL up because it's football, but when you really stop and think about what balloon racing is, and then you say the most photographed event in the world, yeah, you really start to really realize like you kind of made it past the NFL by leaps and bounds, which is pretty good because you had CTE, and in your time period it was pretty serious. But can you tell me about some of the tools of, well, what are some of maybe the personal things you had to learn to make it to the success that you have now?
Well, I've always told the kids, when I do these shows, find something that you love. Usually it's something that you do pretty well. Find something that you love, learn how to do it, practice. Perfect practice makes perfect. So keep practicing at it, hang in there. Don't ever give up, because success is just one step from failure. You can fail 9 times, and the 10th time all of a sudden it opens up for you. So that's the key. Hang in there. Don't ever give up. If you have to work full time to pay the bills, and spend every day working on what you love, and let that mount up until you're able to do it full time. And then on, it's a matter of managing everything, and and actually dreaming, and finding out your goals, and attaining them.
Understandable. It's something that it's easily done. Something that I tell myself is successful people are not born; they're built. You just really have to set yourself in a pattern, and just really a winning pattern, and then really just commit to that for a long, long period of time, and then you'll be successful. That's what I'm locked in a period in, hopefully. But you're a big collector of Black history. What does Black History Month or Black history in general mean to you?
Actually, I've been promoting Black History Year
Mhm.
for at least 10 years now. I've been promoting Black History Year. Um, Blacks built this country. I mean, literally everything. And you look at all 400 years, what we've had to go through. That's why I said, let me go all the way back to Africa and in the collection, come up with items to represent 400 years of African American history. And I always try to um, show the talents and the achievements of Blacks. So the exhibit that I have is very positive. It covers everything, covers sports, it covers the Harlem Renaissance, all the wars. I just did an exhibit this past weekend for the Veterans Administration, where I had an exhibit on the military, and I showed each of the wars that were fought. And I have hip hop and Motown and
Mm.
sports and you know, literally everything in history is represented in this particular exhibit. Over the years that I've met other collectors too, and it's amazing. When the African American History Museum was built in DC,
Yeah.
there were literally about 10 different collectors that I have met over the years, that if we put all 10 of our collections together, it would show out that museum in DC. You know,
Seriously?
seriously, the things in DC, most of them were donated.
Mm.
All of us collectors bought all our stuff. We cherry picked what we needed to have and we purchased all that. But it's unbelievable the stuff that we have that's not even in that museum or any other museums in the country that are African American.
Do you have like of course you have like all types of history, even like lesser known history that can tell stories all together?
Yes.
I'm like, that's really like, because I'm a big history buff too, and it's so much Black history that's just yet to be uncovered, or such amazing stories. And I'm just like, you probably have like a whole treasure vault full of stories that are yet to be untold. It's just really amazing.
All of history in the history books are wrong, totally wrong.
Mm.
I'm on the board of directors at the New England Air Museum. I've been on the board since 1989. And about 5 years into the board, one of the Tuskegee Airmen joined the board. And they introduced me to him and everything. And I said, who are the Tuskegee Airmen? And he literally hit me in the stomach. He said, what do you mean, who the Tuskegee Airmen? I
Yeah.
didn't know. I really didn't know. And we became best friends. And
Mm.
for the next 20 years, I followed him and his buddies all over New England at all the Tuskegee Airmen events. And I became the personal photographer for most of them. And it was just unbelievable, the stories that you heard that aren't in the books. None of these stories are in the history books. And I just learned right then and there, all of history is a person other than our color telling their version of the story, and it wasn't true at all. So like I say, there's no question, there's no question we have a history that we can be proud of, because of all the things we've accomplished and all the things that's to be accomplished. I did an exhibit at a elementary school about 20 years ago, and a little Black girl came up to me. She says, I didn't know Black women could fly airplanes." And I said, "Yeah." And she was looking at the Bessie Coleman um,
Mm.
exhibit I had there. And about 5 years ago, I was doing an exhibit at a library, And the lady touched me on the back and she said, I know you don't remember me, but I was that little girl and now I'm a pilot. So you never know what a little kid can look at and
Representation.
exactly.
Representation really matters.
Exactly.
And I feel like sometimes listening or watching your story, I feel like, you became like the hero because the caption reads like not all heroes wear capes. And you actually flew so you can fly. And now like hearing the full story, it's like you're like a protector of Black history. I feel like sometimes that's what we have to be as Black males. We have to be a little bit more just so we can persevere and preserve what we already have. Because what we have is rare and it's mistold and misrepresented. Can you elaborate or can you tell me how you feel about that?
Well, one thing I got to give a shout out to my daughter. My daughter, when she was going to Howard University, she said, "Dad, I want to do a movie on you." I said, "Okay." And I thought she was talking about a little home movie like everybody do. And right when she graduated, she went over to Cannes, France. And when she was at Cannes, she won Best Director for a little 5-minute short film, their first year at Cannes. For the next 5 years, she took other students in different schools who wanted to learn filmmaking over to Cannes. So I said, she's serious. And we started doing interviews with my family. When we started going over to different balloon festivals, and she was interviewing everybody. And for the next 10 years, I literally watched my beautiful young daughter produce Balloon Man. And I mean, no father can feel prouder than I feel at this moment, because I saw all that she had to go through to produce this. So, like I say, you get a dream in your head, and you just pursue it, hang around positive people, keep trying, keep plugging, and with God, it'll come true.
I believe it as well. I definitely believe it. I know it's like we're definitely heading on to the wrapping up stage of the interview. Do you have anything you want to say to anyone who's about to pursue their dreams or just have a adventurous spirit like you?
Never fear anything. Fear is just it's it, I heard somebody say once, if you're scared to make a speech, well, say it's scared. So if you're fearful of something, well, do it afraid. Just do it. And you'll find out if you just take that first step, it ain't what you actually thought it was. So definitely everybody should dream. Just dream your dreams, whatever it is. God gave you a gift. Use that gift. Use that gift. And like I say, if you hang around people who have what you have, eventually you will have what they have also. Because just hanging in there and being positive and take a step at a time, you will achieve whatever dream you want. The sky is the limit.
I agree. Coming from the Balloon Man, the sky is the limit. Man, and there you have it, man. I hope this was as inspirational and as refreshing to hear to everyone else as it was for me. I know it has been like a good positive force in my life because, I don't know who's watching this, but I'm pursuing my dream as well. And I hope you're pursuing your dream. And we have someone who really achieved their dream on multiple levels. And if you would like to watch his story, Google The Balloon Man. It's out on a lot of streaming platforms. It's out there. It's definitely out there. It was directed by a Howard University graduate, woman director, Chantel Costin or Porter. Potter. And it's just a great movie. It's a great documentary, not a movie. But yeah, I'm just wrapping up the Black Male Experience, and this is on the last few days of Black History Month in 2021 with Bill Costin. I'm Michael Higgs. I hope this has been a good refresher for you and a good rejuvenation on your passions and your dreams. I'm out. Thank you. See you, Mr. Costin.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good
Bye.
one. All right, I'm about to end it on Facebook, and we're good to go. All right, that's amazing.
I actually started Facebook when it was just college. I was using Facebook back then as my website.
When? How early was this?
When Facebook first started. My cousin was an administrator at Kennesaw State College in Georgia, and he got me a password, and I got on Facebook when it first started.
I was in high school when it started. It was in 2005, 2006. Yeah. That's a long time, but wow, you've been growing up in Sky Endeavors since then?
Sky Endeavors is 42 years. I started Sky Endeavors in 1975.
Wow. That's amazing. Because when I first heard Winterview, I'm like, okay, he's just now doing this. He became the first Black man to hold a commercial pilot license in ballooning. And then I'm like, when I first started reading about you, started doing my homework, I'm like, you've been doing this. And I'm like, wow, that's just,
and there's only a handful of master pilots.
And then the fact that you started racing first, which is just crazy to me, because I'm like, wouldn't you want to take your time at it and just learn the mechanics, but you jump right into it?
That's how I was able to get a dealer. I was able to get a dealership by joining that racing circuit. So they were promoting me as the first Black commercial pilot, to get the headlines.
There it is.
I was a little under the gun to perform. But there were some flights I was scared to death.
I can imagine, man. Like, were you by yourself?
The first maybe 50 flights I was.
That's crazy. I couldn't imagine that. But then again, would you say you're a loner? Because it's like, where did all this come from? This is something I would do if I'm like, all right, I got to go over there. I'm about to do it. But it's like, I wouldn't do it I wouldn't venture out to do this.
No, when you get your private license, that's 10 hours. To get your commercial license, you got to take 25 additional hours by yourself.
I see.
So you're forced to do it by yourself until you get your actual commercial license. Then you're able to take people up for rides and everything. So the racing and everything, I was basically racing alone. Every once in a while I'd take up a media person, but that was
that sounds fun, honestly.
I mean, you can't believe all the flights I've had. I've landed on Jersey Turnpike twice. I flew across the Chesapeake Bay over that body of water. I've landed in cemeteries, on top of houses, in the middle of the woods, in the middle of swamps. Flew in the fog where you couldn't even see. You ever driven in a car in a fog?
Oh man, yeah, I don't like that. It's kind of
try flying a balloon and try landing in the fog, and you can't see what you're going to land on.
That's scary. That's really scary. But it's like, I don't know. It's like sometimes you live for those moments. You know what I mean? Like, because it's fun and like you're really using all of you to get through A to B. Yeah. And in a 9-to-5 job, you probably or at least my 9 to 5 job, I'm probably only using maybe 15 to 30% of myself. You know what I mean? But like when you're by yourself, you're just like focus, even though you don't have anybody to communicate with or to rely on. But I bet that was just such a fun experience for a long, long time. I can imagine.
True.
Yeah. And then let's see.
Now, where do you live?
I live in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Ohio. Okay.
Yes. So that's where this is. This is a small Black newspaper called the Cincinnati Herald. I grow their digital media presence online. We have 18,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I'm pretty happy about that. I've been with them since 2016. And then before the COVID-19 hit, I was doing a radio show, The Black Male Experience. And then because COVID-19, the radio shut down. They're doing webisodes, pretty much this. So this is like new for me, but I feel like it's good because it's like kind of forcing me out of my comfort zone, forcing me to just be an all-around better speaker. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You'll do it.
I'm trying to do it, man. I'm like the fact that you have a collection of history. I'm like, oh, that's even cooler because it's like, wow, you're a master balloonist or a pilot, and then you have a whole. It sounds like you have a lot of Black history from sports to music. I was just checking out Miles Davis stuff, and I'm like, man, like it's so important to document this stuff because it's like we dominated so much, and like it's crazy. Like it's Coltrane to James Brown to Ella Fitzgerald to Langston Hughes to it's so layered and stacked. And you probably have so much more than that, right?
Friend me on Facebook, and then I'll direct you to my exhibit, which is on Facebook.
Okay.
So you'll be able to look at all of it.
Great, because I'm like, I was aware of like, your balloon history, but I was not aware of your collector's history. And I'm
also Google my name, Bill Costin, and then go to images, and you'll see a whole lot of it on there.
Okay, I'll definitely check that out then. I do a little history channel or segment called Dissecting History, and that has been fun. We just go through the history to comb through like controversial or historical moments and see how it affects Black people. So you have other stuff such as like political things as well?
I have actual slave shackles from the slave boat. I have slave shackles from Sierra Leone. I have Tuskegee Airmen uniforms and different items like that. I have Civil War items. I have, literally everything. Literally everything.
I'm thinking about the content that can be made from this. Like, do you want to because like I said, I love history. Did you ever want to like display this and just talk about it? Like, this is XYZ, this is 200 years old, this is how it applied to us. Have you ever thought about that?
I didn't have time to go that route because I was so busy with ballooning and the photography and the photojournalism. So that's why I set up my exhibit, which is self-explanatory, and a lot of artifacts and pictures combined, where somebody can go through the exhibit without me explaining it, and they can pretty much see what's going on.
Wow. Okay.
I got some Ku Klux Klan items, just everything in history. I have autographs, Frederick Douglass autograph. How many people have a Frederick Douglass autograph? Mary Clown Bethune, everybody literally who've done something.
I'm looking at some of your stuff now. I don't know. I mean, like, I know because like Chantel, like I was one of the people that she took to France. So
really,
I graduated. Yeah,
I
graduated. Yeah, I graduated Howard 2013, and I went to France, and I didn't think I was going to go. I'm a kid from Cincinnati, Ohio. It was just a dream to me, honestly. I
Oh,
spoke French in 8th grade, but here I was in France. Oh my God, it was such an experience. And
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it the first time she went to France. Did you
mhm.
ever see Liam Neeson in Taken?
I did not. I mean, well, I didn't see it, not in France.
It's a movie, you know.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, I see it.
And I said, "You going to France?" I said, "Now, if you get taken, I can't come this."
Oh,
I mean,
oh, I see what you mean.
I was real nervous the first time she said she was going because I just saw that movie, and he
Oh
saw
man.
that was the sex trafficking and all that. I just seen the
Yeah.
movie, and then she said she's going to France. I said, "No."
He's like, I ain't got those skills. I got some other skills, but I ain't
Exactly.
got those skills.
You're right.
Man, nah, it was different parts was serious, but at the end of the day, it was such an amazing experience. I'm pretty sure she was like, this ain't America. I don't know what she's seen like in America, but like if you've been to America, if you went to Howard and ventured off their campus, you'll be okay in France. Because like I said, I went to Howard and I'm like, okay. But like, it is what it is. It's not something that I wasn't used to being from Cincinnati, Ohio. But yeah, France was something else. But yeah, it's such an experience and something I will never forget. So that's how I know Chantel, and I believe, and like really, she creates content as well. And like I've been like following her like her journey. I'm like, oh wow, she's up there now. So that's been like really motivating me to get my thing in Cincinnati going and really create content staples like the Black male experience. Like being Black in America is, it's if we don't tell you about it, you will never know. Like this is how we feel. This is what we go through. And then just to have a story like yours to persevere and like be the first Black in almost everything you did, it was like amazing. You know what I mean? Like you moved past Omaha, then yeah, and then like probably the first Black in every class when you were ballooning. Just
Actually, when I was in the Boy Scouts and I became Eagle Scout,
yeah.
I went three levels above Eagle. And
Wow.
at the Jamboree in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, I'm standing out there with all my Eagle stuff on, the only Black, and I had 200 white guys in my troop out there. So all the things I had to do as an Eagle Scout, you know, gave me the ability to do things all up through. I was always an athlete. My main sport was basketball.
Oh really?
And I started getting so big because I was 307 pounds at one time, 6'5".
Nah, I read the stats in the documentary. 6'5", 265. That's a big boy. He's huge coming down the court. But that's standard now, I guess.
Did you ever see Will Smith in the movie Concussion?
Yeah. No, to be honest, no. I heard about it. It's about CTE,
Right.
right?
After I saw that, I realized that I've had 4 concussions in my life.
Mm,
That's why
wow.
I can't remember anything now. And remember, I'm recovering from a stroke. I had a stroke
Man,
2 years ago. My whole right
man.
side is in pain. It's not paralyzed, but feels like concrete.
Wow. And you got to battle back from that, correct? And you're still battling.
Still battling.
Wow. Wow. What keeps you like I know you always got to do what you love. So what do you love to do now?
The Black History exhibit.
Really? That's good. That's good because I love that stuff, man. I love that you collect it.
Yeah.
And really I would like to experience it. You know what I mean? Like but beyond besides like digitally. and like going to the website, because I haven't been down to the Howard University. I mean, down at Washington D.C.'s African American Museum. I want to go there.
Okay, yeah, it's nice.
They built that. I left DC in around 2014, and maybe 2015. That's when they probably had it open. But no, that's something that I really, really would love to see, because it's just probably so iconic. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, that's such and such saxophone, or like this is that. It's just, I don't know. I would love to see that in person.
I actually photographed the whole building of it. I used to come down to DC from Connecticut when it was just a hole in the ground, and I just followed it all the way up. And then I met Lonnie Bunch, who's the director there. Really? I met him about 4 times, before it even opened. And I was showing him some of the items that I own that should be in his museum, which he agreed. But he got busy making Smithsonian secretary over all of the museums in DC. I mean, he's the man now.
That's what's up. For real. I mean, he did his thing on that building. I just need to step foot in it. But where can I find most of your stuff? Because you said you're a photojournalist. I'm like, I do more video work, but I love photography. But like, where can I find like your stuff at, or your website?
I have everything on Facebook. Okay, go to Bill Costin.
Okay.
Go to the Costin Cultural Exhibition. The Costin Cultural Exhibition. Costin Photography. Black History in Connecticut. And then I developed a group of all the Black history collectors. Once we become friends, I'll let you join that group. And that's all the other Black collectors in the country.
Yeah, I think you need to maybe find another way to display some of this stuff, like come out weekly. Like, hey, let me tell you about this item. When I got it, you never know what type of following you might amass, because I'm like, that's just Black history. That's literally history. You're telling history. And it could be 5 to 10 minutes. Like, hey, look what I got today off the vault. I wouldn't, I absorb so much content on a daily basis. It's really about your niche and what you like. And so people who like history and who wants to know that stuff, they'll consume it more than just February. So I'm just throwing that out there. Get in front of a camera and maybe display some of your stuff. You might get a pretty big following. I think so.
I agree.
Like I said, I'll watch it. I will watch it. I'm just saying. I think I have, let's see. There's something else I wanted to ask you. I know sometimes when I get on camera, I get nervous. I'm like, oh man, let me get all my questions out the way. But I think that's it. I was just really impressed at the fact that you really took your passion and really just expanded it to your family. And through this passion, you really made a lot of lifetime bonds. I'm like, that's really amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I have crew members that I've had on my crew for 35 years, all white. Black people didn't want no parts of ballooning.
Man, because they're fearful, right?
Every year I took up maybe one Black person a year, thousands of other people, but total, I bet I haven't taken up 50 Black people in 42 years.
That's crazy, man. Just very fearful of heights. Very, very fearful.
Plus, they don't want to get up. They don't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning either.
Because you have to go early.
Right.
So you have to
get your flight in before the winds pick up.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, if we can change that, that'd be good for the culture. But Honestly, it's like, come on, we can't pigeonhole ourselves into these actions. We got to do everything. But
Mhm.
no, that's interesting. You said only 50 Black people in 42 years. That's sad too, though.
And my daddy in the movie said, "Ain't no way you go get me up in no balloon."
Yeah, right. They support you 100%, but they like, nah, I'm just gonna be over here with it.
I'm good.
You hear that often?
Yeah,
Or that's what you heard often back in the day too. I'm
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
All,
man.
all the time.
Let's see, Connecticut. I haven't been up there. I don't know. When this is all over, I really just like to make content and travel. So I would definitely put you on the list because we got to speak about some of the things that's in that vault of yours. that's that's amazing. I'm pretty sure. Do you have like because my grandmother's from Selma,
Well,
and so she brought the Aunt Jemima, not Aunt Jemima, Mammy figurine.
okay.
That's still on the our stove right there. Do you have any of those?
Only one.
Only one? Yeah. All
That's
right.
that was more of a negative item. I always try to show
Mm.
positive things that the blacks have done, but I showed that to show, this was part of our history.
Yeah, like this is what they, you know, characterized us. This is how they characterized us. But no, that was just like a piece of Black history that I naturally had growing up. Like I always had, it was always the mom and the dad. The dad was unfortunately was broken, so we still have the mom on the kitchen table. But that's just like it, like I said, it's a story. You know what I mean? So I know you have like other stories like that as well, but you just don't highlight the negative, which is
Right.
good, which is definitely good. But yeah, definitely got to talk to you later about this, Mr. Costin.
All right.
Seriously.
Anytime.
Seriously. And it was great speaking with you.
Same here.
Um, yeah, but if you need anything else, I can definitely shoot you a copy of this interview, and
Okay.
then we can go from there.
Okay. And
All
shoot
right.
it to Chantel, and then she has a whole file of everything, so she keeps a copy of it.
Okay, will do. And
Okay.
thank you again for the interview, and have a great day.
Okay. You too.
All right,
See
bye.
you.